Hey there, my name is Arka Adhikary, also known as the arcturuschild. I am a tarot practitioner and a chaos magic practitioner for past 7 years. I have noticed it as a beginner, I had to look at the card's meaning after each and every draw, you can say. And this is something from which a lot of tarot readers, new tarot readers specifically, go through a lot. So I have decided to create a course just to make it easier for people to understand the meaning of tarot cards with the symbolism of it. You do not have to remember any pre-written information based on it. You just have to look at the card and you will be able to tell the exact meaning of what the card wants to say. This 1 hour long video is actually explanation of just 5 cards. So I hope you watch it. I hope you get to learn something new and let's get started. So the first card we're going to discuss about is called the Fool. Now why it is called the Fool? Whom do you call a fool? Someone who has the inability to take decisions. That is usually the fool. But if you get to meet a person who can jump off a cliff with a smile on his face, knowing that he will survive, and he often survives, you also call that person a fool. But in the tarot, the fool is far more deeper than it because in order to be a fool, you have to be really brave. So, the first thing that I'm gonna go for the visualization method of the card, whatever pictorial definition we have in front of us. I'm just gonna go for the most bold or the most visible two of them. The first is the figure itself, and the second is the dog itself. So, what does the figure at the edge of the cliff defines? When you can be at the edge of a cliff, when you know that you have very little to care about. The fool represents the same thing. It represents the threshold of a new journey or a new adventure. So, whenever it happens that you take out the fool for someone, it also can mean sometimes that the person is very adventurous and the person has a lot to learn from the world. So, he just stopped worrying about the world. The second thing which you can understand from the fool itself, the embodiment of fool here itself, is it symbolizes the willingness to take risks and embrace the unknown. Wherever he is at right now, he doesn't know the place at all. But he is there, he is having fun. He has a flower in his hand, he is wearing colorful clothes. So they also have deep meanings, though. I'm not going to share it right now, but it is for the later courses, you can say. But I'm just going for the basic meaning. Like if you are pulling out a card, you should be able to know that these two figures mean this. So the overall meaning of the card is something that relies on these two figures only. So yeah, but I was saying that the fool doesn't know where it is, but it has the willingness to take a risk and visit new places. And the third thing about the fool is that it signifies the leap of faith required to embark on a new path of life. What it means actually, it means that he is at the edge of a cliff. He can fall down, but do you think that he doesn't know about it? He definitely knows about it. But he has the willingness to take the leap of faith. Thing is, it is not required for him. Maybe there is no leap of faith, but in order to take a leap of faith, like it's more like jumping from a 42 floor building without a parachute. If you are taking that leap of faith, you know that how bare minimum chances are there that you will actually live. But the person who has the guts to do it is someone whom we call brave and also sometimes the fool. So the fool defines it all. So it signifies the leap of faith which is required to embark on new paths. That's all the figure says. It actually not everything, but it's still enough to understand the card. Now, the second thing which the card has is the dog as a companion. Why there is a dog as a companion in the card? Before that, understand what is a dog. It might be some divine intervention, but whenever I talked about a dog, my dog started to scream. Maybe he didn't like it. Anyway, so what is a dog? Even this incident only. Why a dog barks? A dog barks when it can sense danger around it, when it can sense danger around its loved ones. So, if we try to figure out something similar in us only, what do we have which can be represented as a dog? So, the answer is it's our intuition. Sometimes our intuition screams this message that do not go for this thing, do not do this thing, but we still tend to do because we have to do few things. And sometimes we use our brains and hearts only instead of our intuition. So, the small dog in this card is actually the fool's instinct. And the instinct is why the instinct is out of his body, because the fool stopped worrying about it. The fool stopped worrying. But the fool cannot get rid of its instinct. No one can. So, what does actually the small dog companion represents? Well, the first thing that it represents is instinct, loyalty, and companionship. The first point is this only, that the dog has instinct, it has loyalty to you, and there is a companionship. So, if you are thinking it in that way, the dog is your instinct. So, the dog is the fool's instinct in this, and you can call your instinct dog if you want. But in this scenario, the dog is the fool's instinct only. So, why is it there? What does it serve? Well, it serves as a reminder to heed intuition and pay attention to warning signs. That is what it is doing right now. Whenever the dog can see the fool is approaching towards the cliff, it is barking at him, but the fool is not caring about it. Your intuition doesn't know what a leap of faith is. It can only sense danger ahead. So when it is sensing a danger, it is actually screaming at you. So the small dog companion can also symbolize the balance between spontaneity and caution. The Fool card didn't forget to remove the dog because it was not needed to remove it, and you cannot even remove it. It is a part of you only. The Fool and the dog are parts of each other. They cannot be that much away from each other. So that is the overall visual or pictorial representation of the fool. So now the point is, if your intuition is good about a person and you are taking out cards for that person and the fool drops right in front of you, what can it convey? What message does it convey? That if your intuition is good and you pull out fool for someone, the first thing that it conveys is courage and boldness. The fool embodies courage and boldness, encouraging us to take leaps of faith. It's obviously for multiple people, and pursue our dreams fearlessly. It is the first positive thing that the fool conveys. The second positive thing that it conveys is optimism and innocence. With an optimistic outlook and childish innocence, the fool reminds us to approach life with joy, curiosity, and sense of wonder. And the third thing that it also conveys is freedom and liberation. The fool symbolizes freedom and liberation from societal norms and expectations, inspiring us to embrace our true selves and live authentically. So, if the society norms are actually pulling you down and they are saying that no, suppose, hypothetical situation, some people are saying that business is not your deal, you shouldn't go for business. But the fool card is there and you are feeling positive for the person whom the society told all these things, you can definitely say to that person that you can go for a good business idea. Like, do not care about it. Keep your worries at your back and just move forward. Now the fun part is there is no card in existence which doesn't have two different meanings. And the first meaning is obviously the lighter aspect of it, the positive aspect of it. And the second is the negative aspect of it, the darkness of the card. So, what the fool has as its darkness? Well, the first thing that the most important thing is the reckless and naivety. Sometimes being naive is not so cool for the universe. Because the fool's carefree nature can sometimes lead to recklessness and naivety, as they may venture into new experiences without considering the potential risks or consequences. This lack of foresight can result in making hasty decisions or falling prey to deception. Suppose there is a company, hypothetical situation again. Suppose there is a company who is saying that, okay, we will give you 10 LPA or 12 LPA or whatever it is. You just come and join us, and you were taking a leap of faith there. You were being a fool. You just joined the company and you came to know that 8 lakhs of it is actually variable, and you are probably never going to get the variable part. You are stuck with 2 LPA for the upcoming 5 years because you signed the contract. So this is the negative aspect of a fool. The second aspect which we can talk about is ignorance and foolishness. In the pursuit of adventure, the fool may ignore valuable advice or warning signs, dismissing them as unnecessary caution. This can lead to situations where they find themselves in overall heads. Sorry, they can find themselves in their heads, actually, over their heads, unable to navigate the challenges they encounter due to their own foolishness. Basically, they are wrecking up their own life by being a fool and being ignorant about few things, thinking that okay, universe will save me, but the universe sometimes has work to do apart from making your life perfect. If you are not willing to work on your life only and send it all to the leap of faith, then definitely there will be no leap of faith. So that is the positive and negative aspects of the fool card. Whatever I have told you so far is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a ton more knowledge which you can get from just the fool card. And the symbolism doesn't end here. The symbolism continues. Why it is a cliff, why there are mountains beside him, why there is a white flower in his hand, why he's carrying a baggage, or why the sun is up. Each and everything makes sense. Why his head is up. This also has meaning. So if you want to dive deep, you have to go for my advanced course. But whatever I'm telling you so far is just for people who want to understand their cards in a deeper manner. With that said, I will be moving on to the next card. The first card was the Fool, and the Fool was called the zeroth card. So, what is the second card, which is the first card actually? The first card is called the Magician. Now, what is a magician? Think about it. Like, what should be a magician? So, there are two perspectives how you can say or state what is actually a magician. The first perspective would be from a child's perspective, and the second perspective would be from an adult's perspective. So I'm going to go for the adult's perspective first. In adult's perspective, a magician is someone who uses tools, whatever he has on his table or his stage. He can use everything, and with a little bit help from his ability to trick people with high cleverness. What you can get from the magician from an adult's perspective is he's a very sly person who can make his act look like a magic in front of people. Like maybe he is hiding something behind his clock or anything, but for the audience, it is something which came out of nowhere. So, from an adult's perspective, magic is something which is related to tricks and tools. For the second perspective, we have a child's perspective. A child stares at magician in a way that her Believer stares at God. They believe that the magician can do everything because the person has no capability, the child has barely any capability to judge the magician, because for him it is something which is breaking each and every laws of physics. So this is the perspective behind the magician. If I have to talk about the meaning of the magician, then there are many, to be very honest. If I talk about symbolism, the first symbolism would be why there is one, why it is called the first card, not why fool is not the first card, and why there are few tools on his table, why there is an infinite sign on his head, why he's pointing a wand upwards and his finger downwards, why there is flowers which are red and white, why there is just only white, only one white flower, and sorry, why there are only four white flowers and a lot of red flowers. Each and everything makes sense behind it. So I will start with the basic symbolism. I will start with the color symbolism. What color the magician is? The answer is the magician wears the color red and white. So the magician's color is red and white. So what red defines? The red is actually a color which defines aggression. Suppose you are going to an interview and you are wearing a shirt which is red. The interviewer has a chance to think that somehow the person is aggressive. Like you can go through many interviewer who actually stated this fact that wearing red is not that good because that has an energy of aggression, whereas wearing blue is somehow understandable during interviews. So that is something which we can add up to this, and we can say the red symbolizes action, vitality, and passion. It is also aggression, but aggression in a good way is called passion. So, the magician's red clock on his white shirt is actually called passion instead of aggression. Now, the second thing is why he's wearing a white shirt and where there is a red clock on him. It means that his base color is white, but there is an decoration of red on him. So why it is like this? Because the white symbolizes purity, clarity, and spiritual awareness. A person can be aggressive. If a person is aggressive, then the person is dangerous. If a person has the spiritual knowledge, purity, and clarity, and he has a pinch of aggression, then he will always use the aggression like a knight uses his sword. He won't take that sword out anywhere on anyone. He will take it out only when it is needed. So, aggression with the power boost of spiritual clarity is what magician states. The third point would be obviously it represents the balance between action and intuition. The white and the red, it is basically the action and intuition, and also the willpower and surrender. About the part surrender, you will get it later why there is a surrender part in the magician. Because okay, let me tell you this. It's like a short story. The magician's ability to surrender is needed sometimes because the magician has enough capabilities, but sometimes that capability becomes ego and starts to devour that person. It mostly happens with spiritual people. So whenever there is a spiritual ego that high, he thinks that he can bend the reality, he can go against the universe and make things right for him, but it is actually impossible. So the magician suffers for that only. The second thing that I would point about the magician card is the table and the tools. So what does the table contains? The table contains a cup, a pentacle, a sword, and a wand. Now, these are just for the basics of the tarot. It will be everywhere like cup, pentacle, sword, and wand. You will need them in your entire tarot career. So there is a basic understanding of what they are. Cup represents emotion, intuition, and the subconscious mind. Pentacle represents material world, abundance, and prosperity. The sword represents intellect, communication, and clarity of thought. And the wand represents creativity, passion, and power of intention. The cup is actually a representation of the water element. The pentacle is actually a representation of the earth element. The sword is actually a representation of the air element, and the wand is actually representation of the fire element. So why does the magician has all of them? But why the magician has them in such small quantity, like one from every energy, one from every kind? Why does he carry one? Because he needs only one. He can use whatever it is needed whenever it is needed. If he thinks that somewhere the his feelings will be more valuable, then he will use his feelings. Whenever he thinks that there is some ties which he needs to cut down, then he will definitely use his sword. If he thinks that he needs more aggression, he will use the wand. And whenever he thinks that now it is completely my time to earn wealth, then he will use the pentacle. This is how it works. The magician has the ability to take any material and use it whenever he wants. So this is a bit extremely sorry. So this is overall about the magician card. So the overall energy of the magician card should be very positive. It is positive. After all, it's filled with power. But if you think a little bit deep in it, if you think that okay, let's just cut through the curtains and see what is in the background, then you will be able to see the magician is actually a naked sword which is filled with power. It is Excalibur. So it depends on the user how it will be used. If the user thinks that he will slay entire countries, then he can do it. If the user thinks that he will be able to use it for the mankind, then he will be able to use it. So the state of magician in a person symbolizes the fact that he was filled with power, but how he's going to use it depends on how he will create his karmic cycle. Or in ancient Egypt, there were no karmic cycle actually. It is a concept of Hinduism. So it defines that how the person will end up. That's pretty much it. So there are some positive aspects of the magician card. I will discuss two of them because there are many. So, in the positive aspect, what the magician says about its ability. So, the first ability, which is positive about the magician, and whenever you pull it out for a person, it defines that manifestation and creation. The magician embodies the power of manifestation and creation, symbolizing our ability to turn our dreams and desires into reality through focused intention and action. No one is saying only magic can do all your stuff. If you have to go that deep, the magic can be your chariot, and the intention can be something which is be your guard, which will be your horses, which will drive it. Your intention must drive it. So a spiritual hardworking person, if you become a spiritual hardworking person, the chances are very high that you are going to get success. But if you are just working hard, maybe you will lack the soul's ability to do stuff. And if you are completely spiritual, then you might end up earning nothing. So there should be a balance between these things. So the first thing that the magician suggests that it has the ability to sorry, turn our dreams and desires into reality through focused intention and action. And the second part is resourcefulness and adaptability. With an array of tools at his disposal, the magician represents resourcefulness and adaptability, reminding us to make the most of our lives, talents, and opportunities to achieve our goals. As I told you, the magician has a lot of tools on his table, but he uses few only because he has sources and he uses his sources. So suppose the card is actually coming out for someone who needs help. So if this is the magician is his answer, then there is a possibility that he is missing out on people around him who can actually help him. So that is the positive aspect of the magician. Now let's go to the negative aspect. For negative aspect, we have manipulation and deception. Magician is everything, but whenever a person is filled with power, that person is bound to have ego. So, in their pursuit of power and mastery, the magician may resort to manipulation or deception to achieve their goals. Their ability to influence others and manifest their desires can be used for selfish and unethical purposes, leading dishonesty and betrayal. It means, suppose you are strong. I'm just gonna give you a hypothetical example. And if a magician sees that there is a ritual which needs 5 people, and basically he will drain their soul out or something, then what he can do, he can manipulate those people to sit on the ritual just to gain more power without caring what those people will go through. It means that the magician has the tendency to do it. The magician is a dishonest, and I won't say magician is, but magician can be when he's overwhelmed with power. The third thing, sorry, the second point is misuse of power. The magician's command over the elements and their mastery of manifestation can be wielded irresponsibly, resulting in misuse of power. They may use their abilities to control or dominate others, causing a harm or manipulation in the process. So, just to make it a bit more understandable, I'm gonna go for a fantasy example. So, there is a spell which is called commanding spell. So, if there is a person who is that strong, gaining the ability of commanding spell is literally a child's play for that person. And someday the magician will wake up and he will say, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's manipulate few people, let's command them to do few stuff against their will. So he can do it when he's posing with ego. So try to understand the magician can go wrong. So that are his negative aspects. There are more, but I will talk about them in my advanced class. For now, this information is more than enough for you to understand what the magician is capable of. Now, moving forward to the next card. Now, the second card is High Priestess. Now, High Priestess is a card which talks about knowledge and spirituality. What is a priestess? A priestess is a person who is highly indulged in the spiritual realm and who is highly strong. Suppose there is a sadhu nearby, and you tend to just listen to the sadhu a lot because the sadhu has a lot of knowledge and you follow him regardless of the person has a sword in his hand, regardless of the person is a king or not, but just for his knowledge, just for the sadhu's knowledge, people actually follow them. So why does it happen? Because as human beings, whenever we see there is a person who is enlightened, we tend to follow that person without even knowing because of our own pursuit of truth. So the high priestess is actually a feminine energy of that sadhu, you can say. The high priestess has a lot of spiritual knowledge, lot of, and that makes her pretty strong. There are few symbols around her entirely, like why there is a black and white pillar near her, why there is a waterfall at the end of her clock, why there is a moon right under her feet, why there are pomegranates. You do not even know about it. Why there are pomegranates? What she's holding in his hand? Is it a book? Was it a scroll? What it is? So there are many aspects which you can definitely again learn in my advanced course. But for now, I will talk about the two pillars. Basically, if you have to know about the High Priestess, she's a spiritual feminine energy with a lot of ego and with a lot of confidence. That is in a nutshell. But let's talk about the black and white pillar. What the black pillar represents? It represents the hidden, historic, and unconscious aspect of life. So the black represents the subconscious, whereas the white represents the conscious. The second point is it symbolizes the shadow self, mysteries, and the unknown. And the third point would be it reflects the depths of subconscious mind and hidden truths. Now, let me complete the white pillar as well, then I will be able to make you understand in a better way. The white pillar represents visible, conscious, and manifest aspect of life. It symbolizes enlightenment, purity, and clarity of consciousness. It reflects conscious awareness, rational thought, and external reality. So, the white is whatever you can see, and the black is whatever you cannot see. Suppose there is a person in front of you who is saying that I am a friend of yours. The white says that it is a friend of yours, but your intuition is somehow saying that no, that person cannot be my friend. So, that is the negative aspect of it. That is the black pillar. So, if you are mixing both of them, if you have knowledge of both, then you can get a position of high priestess. If the card comes out for you or anyone you are pulling out, then it means that the person is a bit emotionally unavailable because the person has knowledge. Anyone who has knowledge bound to lose some aspect of feelings. Either that person will completely give his feelings or her feelings to the divine, otherwise the person will be less active in love relationships. So that is what high priestess is if you are pulling it out for yourself or someone else. Now I am not gonna go for much detailed perspectives because there are many, but I'm gonna still, as the black and white are nothing that special, to be very honest, I'm gonna go for another point for this thing only, which is the crescent moon at her feet, what it represents. Why the high priestess has a crescent moon at her feet? The first thing is what the moon symbolizes. The moon symbolizes emotion, it symbolizes intuition, psychic abilities, and cycles of life. Because the phases of moon can be counted as cycles of life. From new moon to the full moon, it is completely death to rebirth. Now, when the crescent moon is at her feet, it symbolizes intuition, psychic abilities, and cycles of life at her feet, which means she has full control over them. Now, it is in a greater aspect. If you were thinking about someone who is a client of yours and this is actually coming out for that person, it means she has knowledge about all these things. She has the basic awareness about whatever it is needed for her to understand in order to make the life better. Second thing, the moon represents it, the high priestess, deep connection to the subconscious mind and the mysteries of the universe. It is also represented by the moon, as the moon is covered with water. So her subconscious mind is actually drenched with her feelings. She drenched her entire feelings in the subconscious mind. Thus, he has great perspective over it. And third, the crescent shape suggests the waxing and waning of intuitive insights, emphasizing the cyclic nature of consciousness. Any knowledge that is coming or any knowledge that is about to you need to let go. They are symbolized by the waning and waxing shapes. So, in her scenario, she is always ready to accept new abilities, and this is how she is called. This is why she is called the High Priestess, because she is spiritual, she is strong, just because she has deep understanding of herself only. Now, overall, it seems like a good card, but it also has some positive and negative aspects. So let's go for the positive first. The first positive aspect would be intuition and inner wisdom. The High Priestess embodies intuition and inner wisdom, urging us to listen to the whispers of our soul and trust our inner guidance, navigating life's mysteries. It means obviously she is filled with knowledge. So whenever you are filled with knowledge, spiritual knowledge specifically, you tend to grow your sixth sense, which is also called the intuition. So whenever you have intuition, chances are very high that obviously you can dig your life even better to find out buried treasures. The second thing that it suggests is deep insight and understanding. With her profound insights and understanding of the unseen realms, the High Priestess encourages us to delve deep into our subconscious minds and explore the hidden truths within ourselves, which means in order to understand the outside world, you need to keep your eyes open. In order to understand the inside world, which is the subconscious world, you need to keep your eyes closed, which means she also makes you more meditative. You will tend to have more pull towards meditation or staying alone, being in nature, being somewhere where you are somehow away from people, because it will provide you solitude just for you to understand the perspective of the subconscious mind even better. And the third thing is connection to divine feminine. Obviously, the high priestess is a feminine energy. As a symbol of the divine feminine energy, the high priestess represents nurturing intuition and receptivity. Okay. She teaches us to embrace our feminine power and honor the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. So now you have a question, you might have a question that what if I pull out the high priestess card for someone who is a man? Other thing is there is nothing which can be called a man except for the fact if he is divine masculine. Each and every person has one male side in them, another one is the female side in them. And it is the control of both of them which makes a man, which makes a female a female. But the thing is, the divine feminine is way beyond these concepts. If you are a person and if you are encouraged to create your own kingdom, fighting daily, spreading your empire, then congratulations, you have divine masculine energy in you. But in the same way, if you still have, even after all this, if you still have the urge to protect your family, protect your father, protect your mother, protect your um, newborn child, you want to care for them, you have a caring heart, then congratulations, you have the divine feminine in you. So this is how it works. These are two perspectives. The one who conquers is the divine masculine, and the one who nurtures is the divine feminine. So there is not a single person in the entire world who doesn't carry these two aspects. So yeah, that is for your answer. Now the thing is, there must be something negative about the High Priestess card, and there is. There is. The first thing is the secrecy and hidden agendas. Whenever you have a lot of knowledge, you tend to keep your mouth shut. That is the first thing. Now, the high priestess, deep connection to the subconscious and intuition can sometimes lead to secrecy, withholding of information. She may keep important knowledge and insights hidden, leading to mistrust or suspicion from others who feel excluded from her inner cycles. Which means, suppose you are a person who is a lone wolf, okay, and the high priestess is coming for you, it means that you have a tendency to learn about stuff and you want to stay ahead of people but you do not want to share your knowledge with others. Then the high priestess is actively negative in your scenario. The second thing is passivity and inaction. A high priestess introspective nature may lead to a tendency towards passivity or inaction, as she prefers to observe and reflect rather than take decisive action. This reluctance to engage may result in missed opportunities or stagnation in her personal growth or endeavors. There are many people who are intuitive. But the fact is, being intuitive or being spiritually strong sometimes makes you physically weak. So, whenever you tend to be there, you tend to have the sin of sloth. And the sin of sloth, what the sin of sloth does, it makes you dull enough to take action. So suppose you even know that if I complete this ritual, or if I go to this interview, I may pass. And the interview is 10 a.m. Interview is at 10 a.m. and you are going there at 12 because you are lazy enough to wake up. You know everything, but you are somehow lazy. So the high priestess nature is to be physically in sloth, whereas her, no matter how much her mind is super active, but as her physical abilities are challenged, or I will say it is under heavy pressure of being lazy, so she may not be able to does a lot do or take a lot of actions. So that is high priestess for you. I hope you understood this card, but these are again very small aspects of the entirety. There are many aspects. There are many aspects like she has. If I talk about a negative aspect, there is a aspect of withdrawal. There is an aspect of over realization or over intuition. There is another is suppression of emotions. And if I talk about the positive, there are many as well, which is balance and harmony, guardians and secrets. There are many. So if you have to know about all these aspects, you have to join my advanced class. But if you are not interested right now, it's completely fine. You are here to gain knowledge and you are gaining it. I'm happy for it. So if you like this so far, give it a like and write your comment down below. So now the third card, which is the Empress. Now, what is an Empress? What can be the Empress in your perspective? An Empress is someone who owns an empire. True enough. But there is an emperor. So what is the need of Empress? The need of Empress is the emperor is incapable enough to do few stuff which you need the Empress for, and the Empress is incapable of doing few stuff for which we need the emperor. So why does the Empress come first in the order? Because she is a mother. If you actually know it deeply, then the Empress is a pregnant lady. Okay. So there are many symbolisms about what she's holding, why there is a garden, why she's sitting on a garden, why there is a river flowing near her feet. It is coming to her feet and it is just flowing near her feet. Why there is a shield which has the feminine symbol on it. Why there are red pillows, but she's wearing everything. It has everything. But for this video, I will go for two perspectives or two symbolism which will help you to understand the Empress card in a better way. So the first symbolism would be she is seated on a throne. That is the first thing. What it represents? It represents her sovereignty and authority over her domain. The throne represents someone's domain. If you go for the king and queen cards like Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Wands, King of Pentacles, King of Wands, everyone has a throne. But every throne's base material is either metal or rock. But she is seated on a pillow, throne filled with pillow. So it shows that she has her comfort in it. Even when she is the Empress, and even though she holds a lot of power, but still her entire throne provides her comfort. Then the second part is it suggests, it means that being seated on throne also suggests a sense of stability and a groundedness in her leadership role. Which means if you stare at it closely, the soil under her feet is actually gray in color. So she is not sitting on any other plane, on any other wooden block or anything. She is seated on the earth itself, representing that she is grounded and she has leadership roles. And the third thing is It reflects her position as a maternal figure who provides guidance and support. Why it is maternal? Where it is actually written that she is a maternal figure. If you do not know it, it is actually on her cloak. If you see her cloak, then it is something which has the design of pomegranate. And the pomegranate has the symbolism, pomegranate is the symbolism of new life or fruitfulness. So this is why we suggest, or any tarot reader thinks or suggests, that she's actually pregnant. That is why she's wearing it. Whereas in the High Priestess, it has over her throne, near about her head. It is completely different. The Empress has the pomegranate all over her cloak. Overall, the Empress is a card which talks about being a mother, which makes you understand the power of being a mother. The Empress is mother of all. You can consider that she is mother of all cards. She is nurturing, she is caring, she is strict when it is needed, and she is sometimes too overwhelming, but it is a mother, the divine feminine at its peak. So, overall, the Empress is a very good energy. The Empress cards also talks about a lot of knowledgeable stuff, and it is also a very stable energy. So, what are the positive and negative aspects of it? Well, there are negative aspects of even the Empress, but let's start with the positive aspect. The first positive aspect is the fertility and nurturing. The Empress embodies fertility and nurturing energy, symbolizes the fertile soil from which all the life springs forth. She encourages us to cultivate and nurture our creative endeavors, relationship, and inner growth, which means that she prefers to stay on the ground because the ground provides us everything, starting from food for animals, which animals we devour, food for us only, which we can devour directly, and any source of energy is actually, they do come from the earth itself. So she embodies the fertility and nurturing nature. She is the embodiment of fertility and nurture. Second thing is abundance and prosperity. With her lush surroundings and abundance of vegetation, the Empress represents abundance and prosperity in all areas of life. She reminds us to embrace the abundance that surrounds us and trust in the universe's ability to provide for our needs. Whatever we need, it is right in front of us. We still tend to be blinded by the world's perspective, and we sometimes become very rushed in our lives. But the Empress says that if you just sit on the ground and you stare around, you will be able to see many things which is just for you only. The abundance is actually within you and around you. You just have to open your eyes. So the Empress's positive aspects are this. Whereas the negative aspect. So I am going to basically talk about the negative aspect of mother. So it will be a bit deep. The negative aspect of a mother, think about it, what it can be. There are many though, but still. First thing is overindulgence and excess, which means sometimes the mother becomes very much tensed, the mother becomes very much curious about its own lives, so it tends to be overindulged, and she is excessive sometimes even for her own kids. So that's the Empress's first flaw. The Empress's association with abundance and fertility can sometimes lead to overindulgence and excess. She may become overly focused on material comforts and pleasures, indulging in luxury or extravagance to determinant of her well-being or responsibilities. In order to fulfill her responsibilities or the state, if she wants to stay in the state of being well, she needs to be overindulged sometimes, and sometimes for the other people it is not that good. For others it looks very greedy in nature, even though she is right in her mind. But for the world, sometimes it becomes very excess. The second thing is overprotectiveness and smothering. The Empress nurturing instinct can sometimes manifest as overprotectiveness or smothering behavior, especially towards loved ones. She may become overly indulged in lives of others, trying to shield them from harm or difficulty, which can stifle their independence and growth. So, suppose a lioness has a cub. Now, the lioness is a very strong energy, motherly energy, and she's so in fear that if her child will go outside, it will get killed. It The mother lioness doesn't let the cub out of its cave for years and years. Whenever the cub will go outside, it will have no perspective over the world, and chances are very high that it will be even killed by hyenas because it is not strong enough to fight. So protectiveness is good if there is a hyena around it, and if the mother has to uh, beat down the hyena in order to protect her child, it is completely fine. But if she pulls out the gun of overprotection on the cub itself, and she just forces the cub to be and stay in the cave forever, as long as she thinks that that cub is capable enough, then she is basically making an a child which is not good for the world. So she does this thing, the Empress does this behavior for each and every loved ones whenever it is the negative aspect of the Empress. Now about the Emperor card. Emperor is a pretty strong card. It screams the word Aries because it has Aries' head all over its throne. I'm gonna go for two specific symbolism of the emperor because they are the most interesting, I believe. There are many though. There are many small stuff, which is what is the that glowing orb in his hand, or what is the mountains doing behind him, or what armor does he wear. Okay, it's gonna be very important. Okay, so listen to me closely. The emperor wears a red cloak, okay, and the empress wears a white one. It will not be used right now, but it will, like, at the end of the day you will understand why I'm saying this, why this is an important detail. So the what is an emperor? Emperor is basically divine masculine, which is meant to conquer, which is meant to spread its awareness, which is meant to be dominating, which is meant to be everything, which is extreme masculine. So, in the Emperor card, there are many symbolism, but we are gonna go with two. The first thing is the crown and the scepter. Scepter is that wand which is holding. So why he is holding a scepter instead of a sword? He could hold a sword. He is an emperor. He should have a sword. No, he shouldn't have a sword. He reigns over the king of wands, the king of swords, the king of pentacles, and the king of cups. Why would he need to raise his weapon in order to fight? Why he needs to fight? He fought a lot before. Now he's not in a fighting position. He just uses his mind and his dominance in order to build his empire or in order to spread his empire. So the emperor energy, the crown represents sovereignty and divine authority. It is not just random authority over a certain region or something. It overall holds the divine authority. It protects the divine, it spreads for the divine, it does everything for the divine, and it is a very holy card if you see it in that way, but it's a very rude card. It's more like Archangel Azrael. The Azrael is not as smooth talker like other archangels. It is very rude because for his job, which is to be the angel of death, Israel needs to be rude. So, in the same manner, the emperor needs to be rude in order to keep his dominance. So, what the scepter represents authority, command, and control. So, together they signify the emperor's leadership and domination over his realm. And what is his realm? Whatever you can see around, because he is continuously growing. So, if you pull out a card for someone and it tends to be the emperor, maybe he does not have an empire right now, but he has the potential to make an empire. At least he can hold on to that perspective, or I will say that characteristic of being dominating in his work, in his way, in his life. Second thing is why there are mountains in the background. The mountains, his realm is in mountains, just like the empress has her realm in the woods. She sits on soil, but the emperor sits between mountains, which defines strength and endurance, high earth energy. He conquers high earth energy. He is a fire energy, by the way. So it represents the mountains behind him, represents the strength and endurance. And the second thing that it represents is emperor's unwavering determination and resilience. He is a very resistant character. Like he has a lot of power. He has a lot of defense point, you can say. Like if you want to wage a war against an emperor, you have to be really prepared, because that person, you cannot hurt that person no matter how much you try, because that person has a stone heart, stone head, and stone body as well. So it is pretty strong. And the third thing that indicate the soil foundation upon which his empire is built, no one can take the soil. It is not woods, it is not blueprints of any random roads or any stuff. Wherever the emperor sits, it has its foundation, which is no one can take his foundation from him. So the mountains in the background is actually, they represent the foundation strength of the emperor. It's a fatherly figure, you can say, overall. uh, like the empress is a motherly figure, it's a fatherly figure. Now what is actually, how it actually works, it works in way of conquer. So whenever you are pulling out this card for someone, it means that they have very strict mind for themselves only. They do not like to talk about soft stuff, they do not like to be emotional, they do not like to be uh, they do not like to have fun around and waste time. They will be pretty much in their heads always thinking about how to make a better kingdom, whereas the empress has the energy to nurture everything. She is the one who makes sure that everyone is going through happiness and joy in their lives, whereas the emperor is only concerned about from where the food is coming from, how big is our empire. This is it. So there are also positive and negative aspects of the emperor. And the first positive aspect which I will talk about is authority and leadership. The emperor embodies authority and leadership. Embodies means that the emperor has full control over authority. Whenever there is an authority, position of authority, if you pull out a card for someone, the person has chances to become a boss or CEO or anything, not an actual, what do you call it, 9 to 5 worker. He will have the authority of being an emperor and creating his own realm. So, the emperor embodies authority and leadership, symbolizing the ability to take charge of our lives and make decisions with confidence and assertiveness. He encourages us to embrace our inner strength and assert our power in pursuit of our goal. So, whatever domination he has, he uses it to, if you think deep about it, what if someday you decide to build a mansion, how many rooms you need actually there in order to survive? You just need one, maybe one bathroom, one bedroom, and one kitchen is more than enough for you. then why would you create more rooms there? It will only spend, you will be only spending more. So the reason you will spend more is because you will conquer other places so that your loved one can stay. That is it. That is what emperor does. The second thing is structure and order. With his throne and scepter, the emperor represents structure and order, reminding us the importance of discipline, organization in achieving success. He is he encourages us to establish clear boundaries and routines to create stability and security in our lives. That's all he wants. That's why I called it a father figure. I'm not saying that the mothers do not care about stability and security, but in the world of tarot, as a divine feminine, she always tries to nurture for people, whereas the emperor only cares about the stability and security in other people's life. And he's someone, he's that father against whom you cannot state a single thing. You have to go to your mother in order to convey a message to your father. That kind of father he is. But the negative aspect. So the first negative point of the emperor would be authoritarianism and domination. The emperor's desire for control and order can sometimes manifest as authoritarianism and domination. Basically, that's a participle form of authority. He may assert his power over others through force or intimidation, seeking to impose his will on those around him and setting dissent or or autonomy, which means sometimes if the emperor can see that maybe even his soldiers or his child is trying to go or achieve something which is not in emperor's plan, the emperor would say that do not go for it, and he will do anything in his power to stop, because he has complete ego over his knowledge and the power to conquer. So this feeling to conquer others would be there, and it will actually be very negative for people who is serving the emperor. Second thing is rigidity and inflexibility, which means you just like think about it. If you have a very, 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 very strict father and you are going to him with a new plan, that father, I have this plan, I can work on it, and your father will say, no, it won't work. So the emperor can work in that way. It is a form of care, but definitely it has a rigidity. It doesn't want to see beyond what it knows. So the emperor's adherence to rules and structure can lead to rigidity and inflexibility. In his thinking and behavior, he may resist change or innovation, clinging to outdated methods or beliefs, which can hinder his ability to adapt to new circumstances or embrace alternative perspectives. So, this is the negative aspect of emperor. If you guys are here and I'm interrupting you, then extremely sorry. But this course is this much long only. This is based on 5 cards. So imagine there are 72 more cards, sorry, 73 more cards, which you can learn, and you can just look at the cards and say the meaning of the overall essence of the card. And with a pinch of your intuition, you can make actual good prediction. If you like my teaching style, then you should definitely join my courses in order to know more, because I can provide you a ton more than what is here. Make sure to follow this channel. It is my official YouTube channel. Also follow my Instagram, because I will keep you guys updated. Any offers if I am providing, if there is any discounts which are there, any collaboration, any new videos, everything will be, the maximum of it will be on Instagram. So you should definitely follow me on Instagram. And if you have any queries related to the course, you can either DM me on Insta, or there will be a Gmail with which you can actually reach me out.